Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best 10 brawlers in the meta right now. Balance changes just dropped yesterday. There's been some shifts. There's been some big nerfs to a lot of the meta brawlers. Unfortunately, no buffs. But now with World Finals literally around the corner, a couple of weeks' time, we're going to be consolidating a lot of the meta right now. We're going to be doing so much in terms of like maxing out brawlers, tier list coming soon. We've got a rank guide coming soon to make sure you guys are subscribed for the best meta information. So these are going to be like my top 10 brawlers right now / kind of prediction, and then we'll consolidate everything when we do the tier list in like 3 or 4 days time. So let's just start off with top 10 brawler. I'm not going to do it in any particular order because I still think it's a little bit hard right now with the meta because there's so many just good brawlers, not a lot of like broken brawlers. But the first one is Mina. So Mina did receive a couple of nerfs, and you can definitely feel the nerfs, but at the same time, after watching quite a few scrims, I'm still seeing the pros like pick Mina. Maybe she might not be an option to just ban in every single situation, but I'm seeing Mina like pros might not ban Mina on like bounty or knockout, but I still think Mina's good, really good there, because there's a couple of things with Mina. She received a health nerf, right, and a damage nerf, but she still, with every single attack, has insane mobility. You can create so much pressure, and it's just really hard to deal with. And then if you think you've got a chance to kill her, she can just pop her Buster Shield Bubble gadget, which is just absolutely insane. And yeah, you just create so much pressure on the map. It's just really hard to contain it in this meta. So I think until they probably like nerf her main attacks in some way, I just think it's too much value. Like, you're thinking about it, right? Like, Stu has been completely power creeps because he has to build up a super, right? Like, Mina can just use her attack and just dash constantly with some decent range as well. So I think Mina's easily a top 10, and I would probably say top 5. Next up on the top 10 list, I've gone for Max. So another brawler that the pros have just been loving in this meta since she got a buff from a hypercharge rate. I think it took nearly 3 supers to get beforehand, now 2.2 supers. It just means infinite hypercharges. It just means you and your teammates are just consistently going to be getting supers for free, and Max is just pretty good to everything. And with the meta shifting a lot into like a more so control meta, that's where Max likes to thrive, because Max's pressure with Max's super and just overall aggression, control brawlers don't really like that, right, when they're being forced into uncomfortable positions, and Max is just really good at doing that. And Max is super versatile. When Max is good pretty much everywhere. One of the best brawlers inside of Brawl in terms of synergy, one of the best gem grab brawlers, one of the best brawlers in bounty because you can counter other snipers with Max. Max is just a go-to brawler in terms of the pros, and I would say she's in and around the S tier. She's easily one of the best brawlers. So next up on the top 10, I've gone with Kaze. There should be no surprises, even though you can definitely feel the nerfs in terms of invisibility gadget. It's basically, with the star power, about 1 second less in invisibility, so you can't pop from bush to bush in time, but you can still get some good value out of it. And it's still about building up that first super. I think as long as you get like one good invisibility within like the first 1 or 2 lives, you can just cycle through your ninja supers still. And even though they nerfed the ninja supers projectile speed, which is a little bit more difficult to hit, in some ways I think it's actually helped me. Someone said it on the stream yesterday, but I feel like I'm actually connecting onto my supers more, which is just weird. Maybe I'm that bad that the delays help me, I don't know, but it's still pretty easy to connect these supers, to be honest. So I don't think Kaze's got a whole lot worse, and I would still comfortably put Kaze in my top 5. Still on the top 10 list, I've gone for Meeple. So Meeple, I would say, is by far the best brawler inside of the game. Meeple's there, and every single other brawler is much worse off. Meeple received a small nerf, 2 seconds less on his hypercharge super duration, but that's not going to change a thing. It's still 10 seconds in duration. It still charges very fast. Meeple has 2 broken gadgets where the rage quit one, you can defend yourself against aggro. The box one is insane on knockout, bounty, whatever else. And yeah, he can just deal so much damage, and with his super being able to cycle so quickly as well, you could just play Meeple pretty much everywhere. In a really control-based meta, Meeple really thrives, and yeah, I just think it's a zero contest whatsoever. The win rates are really high in terms of scrims as well. He's always banned in my rank games, even before these balance changes. He's just easily the best brawler in the game. Next up on the top 10 list, I've gone for Hank. So Hank, I would say, is an underrated one. Not a lot of people would actually presume that Hank is still this good in the meta, but I really think he is. Again, all of these brawlers around him are receiving nerfs. This is 2 balance changes. I wouldn't really necessarily say Hank deserves a nerf. I mean, maybe like a small one, but he's dodged the balance changes twice, which is really good. But in the pros' hands, they always like Hank, and I think in a control meta, I think that actually might benefit Hank quite a fair bit, because he just likes killing those squishy brawlers. He's got a lot of health, and especially with his shield gadget, he can tank a lot from all of his control brawlers. So yeah, he's just going to be having a field day in multiple game modes, and with a lot of support brawlers being at the top of the meta, it makes it even better for him in terms of synergy. So yeah, I think Hank is a little bit slept on when it comes down to like the World Finals and game day. A lot of pros will just be going Hank because he's a tournament brawler. Next up on my top 10 list, I've gone with Ruffs. So Ruffs is easily an S-tier brawler inside of this meta. Again, a lot of brawlers in and around him received nerfs, so it's making Ruffs even better. But I just love Ruffs. Ruffs projectile speed buff. I literally called it when it happened straight away. I knew this would have much more of an impact than people were believing. And I literally was saying that Ruffs is like a top 10, top 15 brawler in the game since that. And he's just got better and better every single meta. It's for a few reasons. So, of course, Ruffs, high projectile speed, more supercharge, means your teammates are going to be getting more treats. You're going to be able to open up the map more frequently, which actually helps you normally because Ruffs you synergize with like longer range brawlers or with Ruffs, and you're going to be able to... tanks can overwhelm a Ruff because of his low damage, but eventually he's going to open up the map. And normally you pair a Ruffs with like a tank counter or something with a bit of range. So you're just going to be able to counter the opponents eventually. And of course, this hypercharge is very strong. There's still some really good hypercharges in the game, and you pair Ruffs with a good hypercharge brawler, then it's just GG. It's literally GG. So I put Ruffs in my top 5, and a good thing about Ruffs is that you can literally play him everywhere. If you can play him every single game mode, every single map, he's super versatile. Even on Knockout Bounty, you can just run Ruffs, heal, star power, cheese compositions, and you're good to go. So yeah, he's one of the most versatile brawlers in the game. He's one of my favorite brawlers in the game, and he's quite easily a top 5 brawler. So next up on the top 10 list, I've gone with Otis, and the pros would definitely agree with this. He was S tier before these balance changes. He received no nerfs. Everyone around him received nerfs. So if anything, he gets indirectly better. So with Otis, the reason why he's so good is, first and foremost, he has some really good surprising range. He can outrange a lot of the kind of similar brawlers to him, which will put him in a good state. But it's mainly the damage. The damage buff that he received a couple of updates ago, 1,000 damage per projectile, 4,000 damage per ammo. You can just rip through people at range as well, which is insane. Otis has always been good at like countering the meta brawlers in the previous meta, like Kenji, Draco, etc. Both a bit nerfed, but he's still found himself in a good position. He's one of the best heist brawlers, a great defender, where hardly any brawler can get past him with his mute star power, mute super, and hypercharge, which are both very good at shutting down literally anything. And then when you think of like Gem Grab, Brawl Ball, any bushy map, or just anything in general, he's just very good and consistent. There's hardly any brawlers that actually match up into a middle 1 versus 1 really well in this meta. So Otis is quite clearly one of the best brawlers inside of the game. Next up on my top 10 list, and I'm going to put it near the bottom of the top 10 list, but I know people like Bobby and Drage. Bobby, I know you're calling me out, okay? I did my tier list like a couple of days into the meta. I missed out on Juju. But, okay, so the pros are saying like the hypercharge is ridiculous. It can just take over the game, and it can get a lot of value. I mean, I've only played a couple of games of a couple of days of the new meta, but I'm yet to really see the true power of Juju's hypercharge, but it can be very dangerous. It's kind of fast charging. You've got to make sure that you're charging charging the hypercharge outside the grass, because then it charges quicker. But Juju's really versatile, and I think once you get the hypercharge, it can counter a lot of brawlers, especially like those assassins and tanks. They're going to have a hard problem with it, but in a control meta, I guess like Juju and a thrower can thrive in a control meta because there's less assassins and hypercharges taking you down. So that's a big reason why Juju's got better indirectly. And then the hypercharge, yeah, I just think the previous meta was way too aggressive, like a couple of metas ago, you know, with Kenji's and whatever, just being able to rip through her. But I think the hypercharge can get a lot of value. I really do. So I'm starting to see the use case for Juju, but I'm kind of holding it out on a top 5 just yet. We'll have to hold that judgment for a couple of days' time. But yeah, I think Juju is still pretty much a top 10 brawler. The next up on my top 10 list, I've gone for quite an underrated pick here. I've gone for Ali. So again, this is another brawler. So Ali, I've always said on my streams that Ali is super underrated. I just think there was more assassins and tanks out there with better hypercharges that made Ali not that great in the meta, if that makes sense. But whenever I faced off against a good Ali player, or sometimes in a good matchup, I could always make it work a couple of metas ago. And now all of these broken assassins have been nerfed. Ali's turning into one of the best assassins, if not the best assassin inside of the game. Ali's just so good, and it's all about abusing her jump. It's still, even with the unload speed nerf that she received that time ago, you can still unload your shots really fast. It's just insane. And the strong thing about Ali is, of course, her enraged gadget, just making sure that you can reload as quickly as possible. But it's about her super combination. Her super can pretty much free shot, I would say pretty much all of the brawlers inside of the game. You can free shot I'll say 90% of the brawlers easily unless you're facing off against tanks, but there's not a lot of tanks in this meta, so that makes Ali even better with a lot of control brawlers. Like, for example, Ali's just getting picked in game modes no matter what, because there's a lot of like Juju, there's a lot of Meeple, there's a lot of Ruffs. Ruffs in particular, Ali just absolutely destroys, and still a good Ali player can beat a lot of tank counters because of that 3-shot combination. You just got to make sure that you're got 3 pieces of ammo before you go into like a brawler with like 7k health, and you can pretty much beat every single one really quickly. They just have no counterplay if you're just jumping on them, because it's like a Miko but 10 times faster. So yeah, Ali, I think, is easily in and around the top 10 brawlers at least. So now moving into the 10th brawler on this list, and I won't really put him at number 10. I'll put him at like number 3. It is Cordidius. So Cordidius received a nerf to his Shadow Realm, so he reloads a little bit slower and he's a bit slow in the Shadow Realm. So I have definitely noticed it, but I still find it pretty easy to beat most brawlers in Shadow Realm because they're without the super gadgets, right? So Cordidius is literally in his prime element, and he's still just going to be able to shut down everything because he didn't receive the damage nerf. So Cordidius is still easily one of the best brawlers in the game for me. So there's a couple of brawlers that missed out as well, by the way, like Lily, Angelo, Ollie, Jean, Crow. Could have probably put Lily in at 10 as well, but I wanted Ali in there. I think Ali's very underrated. And in terms of my top 5 for now, I've gone for Kaze at 5, Ruffs at 4, Cordidius 3, Mina 2, and Meeple 1. So I'm not entirely confident on my top 5, but I'm definitely certain that like Ruffs should be in there and Meeple should definitely be in there. And then the 3 brawlers that received a nerfed, they still could change, but I still think they're top 5. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. I'm going to be streaming later today, so make sure you're checking that out so I can discover the meta with you guys. But that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.